Okay, that has finished running. If you're wondering why the time-lapse video went dark, it's because I had a power outage last night. So I got up this morning, and before I went to work, just turned it on and let it run. I have to be honest, I'm really not that happy with the finish. So on the bottom side, I ran front to back. On this one, I decided to run from side to side. So when it does the toolpath, it doesn't do this as a smooth arc, or at least I don't know the setting for Fusion360 to get it to do it as a smooth arc. So you can see it breaks it up into a bunch of little line segments, which are very apparent in the finish. So I found out that this guy, he's ultimately going to get these powder coated, so he's not going to care about this. So I'm not going to rerun this part, but I am going to play with my cam just to see if I can get that perfect finish I'm looking for, just for future jobs. So I'll get the other one in here. The other side is slightly different, but I'll get that in here, try a different cam pattern, and see what that looks like. Okay, going to try to show some more of the cam in Fusion360. I think I have solved what I'm considering a problem. Most people might not. Just trying to get something to look perfect when I think I should be able to. So on the ones I've already done, you can see, if I can put it in the, so you can see when it does the 3D profile and it does the arc. So it takes the arc and it breaks it up into a bunch of little line segments. So when you look at the code, you don't see an arc. You see a bunch of little line segments. You end up with really long code, and you just end up with the part looking like that, which again doesn't look bad. These are being powder coated, so it really doesn't matter. I just want to prove that I can make it look better. On this one over here, on this I did a parallel. I went side to side. On this I did a morphed spiral toolpath. When I did this, I clicked the smoothing button in Fusion. I thought that would solve the problem, and it was weird. On the first couple of passes, it did. It was a code that was machining an arc in X and Z. So I thought I was good. I should have looked at the whole code. Once it got a few lines in, for some reason it went back to what it was doing. So I came in and I did a little more research, and basically the smoothing feature, it says works best when you have toolpaths that are in line or parallel with each other. So I went back to the parallel toolpath that I had originally done. So come in here, edit, under passes you have smoothing. So without this being clicked, I'm just going to hit OK, generate my toolpath. Okay. I want to generate the code. Okay. Save. Yes. And we can see from the code, it's long, so it takes a second or two. But we can see from this code, I'm just going to scroll down to the bottom, and we're going to see how many lines of code this is. So this is, to the very end, 13,633 lines of code. And you can see all these little line segments. So, let's go back, edit, passes. We're going to click smoothing this time, just leaving the tolerance, whatever the default is there. Hit OK. Generate the code. Replace it, yes. Now this should come up a lot quicker because it is a whole lot shorter. So, I don't know if you can see that, but it is actually, you know, doing arcs in X and Z, which is what it should be doing. That's how I have the toolpath moving. It's basically moving in X and then it's stepping over in Y. So let's go down here to the very end, and we can see we have 1,439. So with smoothing on, my code is what, almost 1/10 of what it is without having the smoothing turned on. So it is working. I just hadn't played with it, didn't really understand it. The morph spiral, since your toolpath is moving in a bunch of different directions, it is not ideal for the smoothing feature. So I'm going to load up this code. The next one, the adaptive roughing, just finished. So I'm going to load the code in. Hit start. It's late. Going to go to bed. Come back in the morning and see what it looks like. Okay, so the one that I turned the smoothing on with the parallel pass is done, and the toolpath worked. Right here, you know, you can't, definitely looks smoother than this one with all the little breaks, but there was a problem, which is a problem that I've had with some other things. So when I was doing the roughing pass, it actually sucked the tool down out of the holder. Not the end mill out of the holder. I had the end mill in. So I double checked, and everything is, you know, the tool is still where I put it. But what happens is with the Tormach tooling system, you just have a smooth shank here, and it, you know, goes into the collet. It's an R8 collet, pulls the tool in, sucks it in. I'm sure everyone's familiar with the Tormach tooling system, which is fine for what this machine is. The only problem is if you get too aggressive trying to hog material away, it has a tendency to pull this down out of the R8 collet. I have it in there pretty tight. I do have a new R8 collet. I don't know if that's going to solve that issue. So as far as my part goes, fortunately this whole top surface really is not critical to how anything functions. So it looks like if I move this down about 80 thousandths, it should clean it up. The only part that's going to stink is now I have the opportunity to go back and run the toolpath with smoothing on all of them, because they bolt up as a set. So I don't want one side shorter than the other. So I'm going to have to go back and rerun the top on all 4 pieces, which I'm not happy about. It does take a long time for that to run. So I'll adjust that, run it again, and see what we have. Okay, it's done after the little mishap that I had with the roughing mill. So this is the finish I was looking for. So again, just to compare it, you can see all these little breaks. So when it machined the arc, broke it up into a bunch of little line segments, versus this tool path where we did a parallel tool path, turned smoothing on, so it just machined this as a constant arc. So much nicer looking tool path. Because of the issue I had with the roughing mill sucking out of the collet, I had to make the part 80 thousandths shorter, which is not going to affect the part in any way as far as how it functions. So now I wasn't going to go back and rerun this, but because of that I do need them all to be the same height. So I am going to go back, rerun this, rerun the other 2. So the good news is they will look like this. I do have to go back and put this little spot face counter bore back in here. So I'm gonna have to fix a few things because of the change I had to make. But again, it's all good. We're still gonna end up with a good part at the end of the day. So I think this video is done. Thanks for watching.